Dread it, run from it, destiny still arrives all the same. Before we talk about tactics, strategies, formations, management structures, invention, innovation, inspiration, what have you, there is nothing in football that can hold back the tides of fate. Whether that's a player scoring a dramatic winner against their old club, the air quotes biggest game of the weekend being a drab 0-0, and everything in between, some things are just written in the stars. Occasionally though, if you look hard enough, said writing will actually spell out the words, "You're fired," and nobody ever thought this was a good appointment. I'm Adam Cleary, this is 442, and these are 10 managers who were doomed from the start. Number 10, Claudio Ranieri, Fulham. I just think it's worth repeating at every available junction. Claudio Ranieri won the Premier League with Leicester City, who were 5,000-1 outsiders. We didn't dream that. Sadly, for every ounce of improbability that season, there was an equal measure of predictability in the one that followed. Ranieri relieved of the job in February, sitting just 1 point above the relegation zone. Incredibly though, a mere 18 months later, he returned to England to try and pull Fulham's disastrous campaign out of the fire. But despite what a likeable, nay lovable figure he is, not a single person in command of their senses thought this would work. He won just 3 of his 16 games in charge with an actual dust-up between Abubakar Kamara and Aleksandar Mitrovic during a squad yoga session, you heard, being the most fight shown by anyone as they slid out of the division. Number 9, Tony Adams, Portsmouth. Opportune moment here just to quickly remind you all about Tony Adams on Strictly. Yep, good, great. Anyway, what Big T here lacked in dancing ability, he did not make up a single bit with football management. Regardless though, he was the man Portsmouth, for whatever reason, chose to replace the Spurs-bound Harry Redknapp, and then sold Jermaine Defoe and Lassana Diarra on him just to make it extra hard. Though he came close to overseeing a memorable win over AC Milan in the UEFA Cup, and again, yes, you heard me, 2 otherwise unremarkable squad players called, where did I put this? Yes, Ronaldinho and Felipe Inzaghi, whoever they are, managed to salvage a draw. And that was as good as it got. 2 wins in 16 league games, and Adams was out on his ear to the surprise of precisely nobody. Number 8, Rafa Benitez, Real Madrid. Fundamentally, and this is the entire crux of the point, whoever took over from Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid in 2015 was doomed from the beginning. He came in, signed Gareth Bale, delivered the long-coveted La Decima, and even set a new Spanish football record for consecutive wins. Despite not being able to deliver a league title, the fans still absolutely adored him and were in shock when he was let go after just 2 seasons. If they had replaced him with the spirit of Alfredo Di Stefano himself, there would still have been a headline in Marca saying "Hombre local arruina todo." The fact it was Benitez, a man who, despite having technically played for and coached the club already, was not well liked by the fans, was never ever going to work. After a bad stint at Inter, a load of drama at Chelsea, and missing out on the Champions League with Napoli, they weren't sold on him as an elite manager and effectively booed him out of the building after just 7 months. The fact he fell out with Ronaldo over, and you're not going to believe this, a USB drive probably didn't help either. Anyway, in other news coming up on 442, at some point, 10 funniest spats in football history. Number 7, Nathan Jones, Southampton. Alright, okay, let's do some roleplay. And no, not like that. You are Southampton. You've been back in the Premier League for 10 years. Things have been really good. Pochettino got you to 8th. Coleman got you to 6th. Mark Hughes kept you up by the skin of your teeth. And Ralph Hasenhüttl has kept things relatively steady on what are rather limited resources. But this year, oh no, things have looked dangerously precarious and you've opted to make a change. Who? Who are you going for?
3. Pick number 3, my lord. Number 3!
Well, I mean, obviously, you're going for the guy who set a ping pong table on fire at Luton and, I am slightly paraphrasing here, saw the concept of marrying a nice Welsh woman as not enough of a challenge for him. Nathan Jones, my friend, they simply do not make them like you anymore, but the problem for Southampton is that's for a very good reason. Despite him defending a shocking run of results by genuinely saying that statistically there weren't many better than me in Europe because of his time at Luton, 1 win in 8 games saw him out of the door. Number 6, Graham Potter, Chelsea. Yeah, okay, alright, you might be scratching your head about this, but I'm supremely confident. I'm just gonna come out and say this, history will ultimately prove me right. At the time of me recording this, Graham Potter is still the Chelsea manager, but I'm willing to bet that by the time you've watched it, he isn't. Oh, that doomed manager list is going out today. Wait, have Chelsea sacked Graham Potter yet? Oh, you see, Here's the thing, right? Potter strikes me for all the world as a decent, intelligent, progressive, polite, respectful football manager. All things which should automatically disqualify you from ever having the Chelsea job. And that's not a dig, by the way, Chelsea fans. Most seasons you're normally the most entertaining thing about the Premier Division, but that means it isn't a job you can do if you're even at all remotely occasionally sane. The Chelsea manager should always be some boisterous, larger-than-life caricature of a football manager with borderline personality disorders and ideally narcissism, but, I'm not picky, coming out of the yazoo. Someone who smokes cigars in the bath or has kicked at least one animal larger than a cat to actual death. Potter, by contrast, looks like he gets up on his days off and goes, "Oh, should we go for a walk?" And thus it will ultimately never ever work out. Number 5, QUIQUE Sanchez FLORES, Watford. In the nightmarish doldrums of life under Javi Garcia, who had led them to, let me just check, an FA Cup final only months previously, Watford turned back to QUIQUE Sanchez FLORES. Not 3 years, of course, since they'd sacked him for, where have I put my notes here? Yes, the unforgivable crimes of getting them promotion to the Premier League, having them comfortably in mid-table, and also into the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Boo that man. Now, if you're just trying to be contrarian and thinking, oh, that's actually quite a good first spell in charge, Adam, I bet the second was alright as well, then... Oh, no, it wasn't. Instead, it was a complete disaster. Watford picked up just one win under the Spaniard, memorably getting roundly spanked 8-0 by Manchester City and losing a key relegation 6-pointer against Southampton. Barely 6 weeks into his return to the club, he was shown the door again, which you would imagine in that short amount of time he hadn't forgot the location of. Number 4, Bob Bradley, Swansea City. Described by chairman Hugh Jenkins as a long-term replacement who would stabilise matters on and off the pitch, Bradley was sacked after picking up just 8 points from 33, shipping an alarming 29 goals along the way. But, much worse than all of that, if you ask me, earnestly describing away fixtures as road games. I mean, truly, is there anything as disrespectful to our great game than appointing an American?
Look at this twat! F***ing yank.
Just because oftentimes someone gets a lot of PKs in the end zone when they're on the road to FC Gatorade or the Atlanta Assault Rifles does not mean that they can cut it in the King's Noble Barclays Premier League. Now, I am, of course, joking here, but nowhere near as much as you think. Anyway, he was gone after just 11 games. Number 3, Frank de Boer, Crystal Palace. After enduring a miserable 85-day stint in charge of Inter Milan, de Boer must have assumed things couldn't get any worse at Crystal Palace, but sorry. You're not going to believe this. They actually did. Taking over from Sam Allardyce, the Dutchman was tasked with implementing a sexy new brand of football at Selhurst Park. Tragically, though, he interpreted the word sexy in that brief as just tactically bending over and letting the rest of the league get nice and rough with him. After a 100% losing run and not one single solitary goal, he was sacked after just 4 Premier League games in charge. 2, René Meulenstein, Fulham. A respected coach at Man United, Meulenstein had endured a fairly disastrous spell in charge of Bromby a few years prior, where he once encouraged his players to find their spirit animal before one game, going around each in turn and asking them about their chosen species. Now, look, I'm not judging here. I like a tarot reading as much as the next guy, but at Fulham, he inherited a squad with Dimitar Berbatov in it. Like, what are you gonna do when it turns out his spirit animal is just Hollywood actor Andy Garcia? Anyway, he failed to get Fulham doing, well, anything really, winning just 3 of his 13 league games in charge and getting binned after only 75 days.
You're fired.
Number 1, Brian Clough, Leeds United. An appointment so clearly cursed from the moment it was devised that it spawned a critically acclaimed book and movie combo literally titled The Damned United. Now, the thing is, Brian Clough, in short, was a footballing genius. He took unfancied Derby County from the 2nd Division to the English League title, and by the early 70s was regarded as probably the best manager in the country. Meanwhile, just an hour or so up the M1, Don Revie's Leeds United were being heralded as probably the best team in the country, albeit by being the rough-tackling, no-holds-barred, knee-in-your-back, twist-of-your-armpit hair yin to Brian Clough's clean, respectable football, you can call me Mr. Clough please, young man, Jan. And then, in 1974, when the manager found himself without a team and the team found itself without a manager, someone thought it would be a great idea to, well, how do I explain this? Fireworks kid with matches. He lasted just 44 days in the job and ended it by appearing on Yorkshire TV to have a massive argument with Revie himself. Simply incredible television. That can you imagine if Mourinho had gone on Soccer Saturday to call Ferguson a horrible cheat when he lost the Man United job? They would have made a West End play about that by now.
And that's it, that's the video. Thank you so very much for watching and making it all the way till the end. Somebody's keen. While you're here, please do consider subscribing to the 442 YouTube channel. We've got loads of awesome football content dropping all through the week, as well as an amazing library of documentaries, player interviews and performance guides as well. Until next time though, thank you once again for watching. I do hope you enjoyed yourself, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.